Good morning, members. It's Jared with DayTraders FX. I hope you guys are having a great day and the pips are going well. Here are some things to look at. As far as the news goes today, we have at 11 o'clock the U.S. interest rate news. That'll be something to keep an eye on, especially since we're watching some dollar pairs for sure. So we want to keep an eye on that. Make sure that we're kind of ready and prepared for all of those details. So we also have some 15-minute trades. I want to talk about those and kind of how those are lining up. But let's talk about this possible dollar movement that we have in the works. So the news is out in about 3 hours, and I'm pretty curious to see what happens with this news because I want to get back in. I've talked about this for a couple of days. I want to get back in on euro dollar long. But I want to get this down into this 113.50. Now, of course, we're going to wait for confirmation. We're not just going to set a pending order at 113.50. We might jump in as the news hits, but just in case the news goes blasting past that, we're probably not going to get a lot of movement before the news on this, so it's okay to just kind of sit and wait. But I want to see if we can get that dip in there and start getting this to head down into that 113.50 zone. So I'm just kind of watching this little trend line. I'm probably going to set a little alert on there, so that anytime that makes its way down there, I can just do a little bit of this and be ready to trade that breakout. So 113.50 would be great, even lower would be great. Invalidate that buy position below 11300. So I like this. This is a great little setup, great little area to just say, we're ready for you whenever you want to give us a trade, euro dollar. But again, with interest rate news, that's a pretty big deal, so it should be something for us coming up. Aussie dollar, same thing. Aussie dollar's got some pretty good strength. I'm kind of just sitting on the sidelines here and letting this play out for a little bit. But Aussie dollar looks interesting. It looks good. It looks like we might have some opportunities. We'll see how this plays out. And then of course, New Zealand dollar. We really want to trade this New Zealand dollar. New Zealand's had endless strength, and I'm still just waiting for this thing to come down a little bit. Give us a little bit of a dip. May not make it all the way down to 66.85. That's 100 pips below where we currently are, but I'm going to be watching and ready, and I want to see some dips down here. If this makes another push higher, then it's actually going to make me go a little bit on the bearish side on New Zealand dollar. So if this does not retrace over the next, by the end of the week, it's Thursday. We've got Thursday and Friday of trading. If this doesn't pull back a decent little bit, then it's going to make this an unsustainable move higher. At which point, we're not going to want to try to be long this. We're going to want to try to be buying dips and patiently trading that kind of movement. I think the trend is on the way, but it's a situation of we need to get this to rebalance. And if it doesn't, if it just continues higher, then this will be a very out of balance trend and not one that we're going to want to participate as much in. Okay, so that's those guys. I'm steering clear of dollar CAD. There's nothing good going on there. Steering clear of dollar Swiss. That's kind of a mess. And steering clear also of dollar yen. So these guys are just kind of messy little movers that aren't my favorite. Okay, remember we do have some trades in the works on Aussie yen, pound yen. Pound yen's that one improved a little bit. That had a few less pips this morning. And New Zealand yen. Now, all of these have about 50 pips or so and good bar counts. Everything's over 500. They're all in the 530s, and they all have about 50 pips between market and the 200 EMA. Now, we have seen a whole heck of a lot of strength on yen pairs, or excuse me, weakness on the yen and strength on yen pairs, which is causing the yen pairs to go higher. I'm trying to be really careful. Trying to be real careful because there is just a lot of yen weakness and it doesn't want to seem to give up. But I like this little setup right here. Again, we're at this crazy bar count, almost 540 bars. It's going a little bit nuts, and I think that we can probably get ourselves a little bit of a breakout here and start trading this thing at least down to this 200. Yes, to the 200 EMA, but to the pivot as well. Now, all these yen pairs are going to be a little bit tricky. They're not just going to go. They're going to be kind of slow running. We have the Australian, the central bank policy statement today, which could, we'll see how that reacts with the Aussie dollar. But I like this. Keep in mind a couple things that we're looking at is we want to make sure that we have good resistance to come off of, and we're coming into a pretty good little resistance zone right here. This could head just a little tiny bit higher before it starts to come a little bit lower. So I'm just going to watch this and wait. I want to see a break there. I want to see a trade down to that daily pivot point. I think we have a pretty good chance of it. But you know, let's just kind of see how this thing plays out. We've got a pretty good little channel here that I would say is, you know, fairly well tested. Just kind of looking for that, you know, looking for that movement, looking for that that breakout and that push lower. So there's about 40 pips in there, and I like that that move. So probably we're looking for something below about 82.80, 82.85, somewhere in there. We also have the pound yen, which is doing kind of the same thing for us. Pound yen just about hit that 200 EMA. I don't like pound pairs any more than I have to. We talked about this pound yen yesterday. Broke out, pulled back, headed back lower, pulled back. You know, it's kind of been all over the place, and I think I'm done with the pound yen. It just about hit. It didn't hit, but I just don't like pound pairs enough to want to trade this thing. We'll keep our eye on it. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm probably going to stay out of it. New Zealand yen has a good bar count. We've got, you know, some nice pivots down here. We've got some good distance and everything, but there is far from any New Zealand weakness going on right now. So the trade will work. It will come back to that 200 EMA. It's just when we have that much strength on something and that much weakness, lots of yen weakness, lots of New Zealand strength, it's not going to go down without a fight. And so that's where we don't want to just jump in and have too much problems with trying to fight that direction. Okay, so there's the yen pairs. So probably just going to go with Aussie yen. I think probably just Aussie yen's good in my book. Okay, so we've been looking at this one as well, guys. We've had this this Aussie Swiss running this week. It's kind of dragged on a little bit, and it's been a little bit of a pain. But Aussie Swiss is making its way down, and you know, it's been consolidating for the last little bit. If we can get a trend line break, man, I'd love a trend line break. This thing probably needs to get below 73.05. Maybe 7,300 to really start to pick up some momentum. But we have this daily pivot point that's a great little target over here that I think has a very high chance of getting hit. So that daily pivot point's at 72.75. If you're dragging out that 72.40 entry still, this will be a nice spot to hopefully get something to offset that. So if we can get this to run from about 7,300 to 72.75, that's about 25 pips. That can make up a pretty good little chunk on that 72.40 trade. So that kind of meets it in the middle, right? That's right there in the middle, just about in the middle. So anyway, that's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see a little breakout and run down into 72.75. We're just sitting right here. This thing should be able to make a little bit of a push for us. It might be during the news. It might be, you know, somewhere around there. But Aussie Swiss is good. So that's kind of what we're looking at, guys. I want to trade that Aussie yen short with confirmation. This guy right here. And we can add to our Aussie Swiss position short. Just down into that 72.75. Look for 25, 30 pips right in there and see if we can get some of that. The rest of these guys, we're kind of waiting. Aussie yen, Aussie Swiss looks good. Euro dollar, New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar all look like great trades if they can dip down. If they don't dip down, then we'll wait for them to dip down and we'll jump in on that. One last little side note here. Just looking for little tiny dips here on this Swiss yen. As we start to see other things get kind of overextended, let's see if we can get this Swiss yen back down just a little bit and buy some of those dips and target that 114.75. Okay, guys, that's what I'm looking for. I guess it's probably safe to say that my focus for the next couple of hours are Aussie Swiss, Aussie yen, and then as the day goes on, Euro dollar, New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar for buying dips, and hopefully the interest rate news will give us an opportunity there. Okay, guys, I'll get some charts posted with this. Thanks a bunch, and we'll get the details up.